So now the question is, what do young people do now in the face of this challenge? You can either shoot the AI and say the AI is rubbish, or you can take ownership and say, maybe the problem was with me. What's curiosity? Curiosity is inside your head. You're always asking the question, I wonder what would happen. It's about how you think. It's about how you look at it. It's about how you approach it. When you're hiring people, you should hire people that are higher levels than you.
Why will companies remove any person from their job?
But now what's happened is that a new super worker has been introduced into the world. The current coding through AI is reducing previous coding standards by about 90%. There's a phrase that you can't teach an old dog new tricks.
Are there certain human capabilities that you believe will become more valuable when AI become more prevalent?
You go to university now to learn how to learn, but learn to work with it, learn to master it. That if you don't learn how to pilot AI will become the pilot.
The AI revolution isn't coming, it's already here, reshaping industries faster than many realize. In today's conversation, we'll talk about opportunities AI bring and challenges we may face in the near future. Today my guest is Fahed Bizzari, managing partner at Bellamy Alden AI Consulting, former founder of ChatGPT Accelerator, 20 plus years of business and technology experience, AI transformation specialist, helping organizations become AI-driven leader. Fahed, it's really a pleasure to speak with you today. Could you describe the current status of AI adoption and what people should know to be prepared to take advantage of it?
So the first question you asked was about the current level of AI adoption.
Yep, right.
So I was speaking some time back with the CEO of an investment bank, and I asked him, how are things going with AI? And he said, yeah, we all use AI. So I said, okay, well, what do you mean we all use AI?
Okay.
And his response was, everybody's using ChatGPT. I said, is that it? He goes, yeah, that's it. So when you ask the question about AI adoption, right, there's different levels of AI and there's different ways of adopting it. If you read lots of statistics, you'll hear that AI is being adopted left, right, and center. But when you actually look at exact individual scenarios like that investment bank that I mentioned, you'll see that the amount of AI that they are integrating into their business is actually very, very, very little. Another angle for you to look at it is whenever I'm giving keynote speeches and I ask the crowd, the audience, about their use of AI,
Okay.
you'd be really surprised about the number of hands that don't go up. So when I present someone, I'm not talking about even using AI. I'm asking them if they're even aware of the different capabilities of AI. So I might do a demonstration, then I'll ask them, put your hands up if you knew that this was possible, and very few hands will go up. So there's a lot of research done by big consulting groups that show 78% adoption, but really on the ground, when you actually look at it, very little AI is being adopted. And that little AI is also being adopted in very little quantity.
Okay. What do you think about how people think differently so they can find smartest way to use AI effectively where most people don't notice it?
So the super hack that allows people to get the most value out of AI actually comes up to here. It comes down to their attitude, right? A person that has an optimistic attitude about life, let's forget about AI. A person who has an optimistic attitude towards life will find opportunities.
Okay.
The same thing applies with AI. A person that has an optimistic attitude towards AI will also find opportunities, right? There's lots of attitudes that they all take place in the mind. Another one, for example, is a sense of ownership. So let's say you come to use the AI and it gives you a poor outcome.
Okay.
Now, in that moment, you have two choices. You can either shoot the AI and say the AI is rubbish, or you can take ownership and say, maybe the problem was with me. Maybe the way that I spoke to the AI, the instruction that I gave it, was lacking in clarity some way or the other. Maybe I didn't give it enough information. Now, those improvements you will only discover if you have a sense of ownership, right? So we've got optimism, we've got sense of ownership, we've got the idea of looking at the AI as a collaborator rather than a competitor, right? Curiosity. What's curiosity? Curiosity is inside your head. You're always asking the question, I wonder what would happen. right? I wonder if it can do this. Let me try. I wonder if I changed it like this, what would happen?
Okay.
You see what I mean?
Yeah.
So I was testing a new solution yesterday that promises to do amazing slides. That was their promise. Their promise is PowerPoint is over. We do amazing slides. And in their commercial, the slides are really amazing. So out of curiosity, I took it for a test ride. Now, after I finished testing it for slides, I asked myself the question, I wonder if I could use this for LinkedIn carousels.
Okay.
Right? Because they are promoting it as an anti-PowerPoint solution. But if you think about it, what's the difference between a LinkedIn carousel and a PowerPoint solution, except that the PowerPoint is horizontal and the LinkedIn carousel is vertical? What's the difference? So I did give it a try, and it did give pretty cool results, right? So if you now start seeing on my LinkedIn all of these awesome carousels popping out, the reason is because of my curiosity. The next one to test with the same solution is cheat sheets, which are also popular on LinkedIn. So I will be testing that solution as well to see how does it do for cheat sheets. All comes down to curiosity. So I've mentioned a few things.
Okay.
All right. I can name you another 10. The main point here is that the super hack is not in the tech.
It's about curiosity, how you think.
It's about how you think. It's about how you look at it. It's about how you approach it.
Okay. You've previously described AI as a cognitive co-pilot. Could you explain me how it looks like in practice?
So AI as a cognitive co-pilot, how does that look in practice? I want you to think about how you go on about life, generally speaking. What you will find, if you're honest with yourself, is that you're always having conversations with yourself. Right? Even right now, whilst I'm talking to you and it looks like we're having an intense conversation, there are moments where I'm talking to myself.
Yeah.
Right? And if we look at our entire day and our entire life, it's happening all the time. It's continuous, the conversations we have with ourselves. Now, Steve Jobs, I think it's Steve Jobs at least, is famous for saying that when you're hiring people, you should hire people that are higher levels than you. You don't want to hire people that are lower levels than you. When you hire people that are higher level than you, they raise you up.
Yeah.
When you hire lower than you, you end up spending all of your time trying to raise them up. So if I'm having a conversation with myself, both of us are at the same level. Me, let's say this side of me is having a conversation with this side of me. We're both at the same level. So all we're doing is just two people at the same level speaking with each other. Now, let's just imagine one of them actually is a specialist in some topic or the other. And now I have a conversation with that specialist.
Okay.
That specialist is going to take me up hundreds of levels. Now imagine if I surround myself by specialists in every aspect of my life. I surround myself with specialists in law, in marketing, in entrepreneurship, in coding, if I'm a coder, marketing, whatever it is. So instead of me having these conversations with myself, trying to figure out how to overcome the challenges of life, I have them with a thinking partner, with a cognitive co-pilot that is far more advanced than me. And the more agentic AI becomes, the more of the burden of not just thinking about things, but thinking about things deeply and actually taking action becomes more and more possible.
If we talk about Copilot, what's it? How you can rate current solutions in terms of accuracy and quality to discuss something in different fields?
So the question you're asking, all the different general purpose AI bots out there, how do we able to judge between them in terms of quality if you want to have these types of cognitive conversations, right?
For sure.
So it varies a lot. So, you have, even within one solution provider, you have different levels. So back in the day when we really started with ChatGPT 3.5, then we had 4, then we had 4.0, and now we're reaching all the way to the reasoning models like O1 and O3 on the OpenAI side. Then on Claude, we have the 3.7 range, including their deep research and so on. Ultimately, there's two categories that you have to look at. One is called short horizon reasoning, and the other is long horizon reasoning. So when you're having these discussions, that's the first thing. Is it a discussion whereby you want to make a ginormous plan that has 100 steps? In that case, you have to be looking at the reasoning models like O3. If you're looking at these short conversations where you just need to solve a problem, you just need to figure out questions, you just need to make an edit, you just need to get another opinion, all of this now you're going into the short horizon models. And for those, different ones have different models are valuable in different ways. So many people will know, for example, that for their writing tasks, they prefer to use Claude. For everyday kind of just like typical consumer interactions, people prefer ChatGPT. My personal default is using Gemini 2.5. That's my personal default for almost all of my interactions. And then from time to time, I will deviate in order to benefit from something else.
That's cool. It's pretty interesting. I have straightforward questions.
Okay.
Why will companies remove any person from his job?
First of all, I don't think that companies are thinking like that. I don't think companies are thinking, how do we remove people from their jobs? That's not how they're operating. If you think about it, up until the point of the AI spring that we're in right now, companies were functioning okay. Like businesses were making profit, competition was happening, everything is fine. But now what's happened is that a new super worker has been introduced into the world. Right? We're all used to working with human beings, and we've over the years become accustomed to the challenges of working with human intelligence. Now we've got the rise of this artificial intelligence, which is powering super workers. Yep. So now what's happening is that they're not actively thinking, how do we get rid of people? They're asking themselves, okay, if we introduce this super worker into our workforce, what's the impact on our workforce? It means that certain tasks that used to be budgeted 50% of an employee's time, that those tasks can now be done by this super worker. So now we're left with employees, half of their time has opened up. What do we do with that extra half time? So some organizations are looking at it with the attitude of, let's push those people to do higher level, more strategic things. Like I was speaking to a client yesterday, actually, and they were explaining to me now that because of the AI solutions, they are now able to free up the time of their salespeople, which increases the amount of selling time by X number of hours per week. When they aggregate that according to all of their salespeople, they're looking at an uplift of about $6 million a year. So in that situation, why would they want to get rid of people? In that situation, the goal is not to get rid of people, it's to free them up from those things which are wasting their time so that they can actually be making more money for the company. But then you find yourself in other situations where now that you've reduced the time, let's say, for example, software coding, the current coding through AI is reducing previous coding standards by about 90%, 80, 90%. So unless these coders have more things to code, because now the company is becoming more ambitious with its software ideas, you now have a whole army of coders whose requirements has dropped by 80, 90%. So in that situation, what do you do with those people? They might actually sit back and think, I think we have to let some of them go. So to come back to answering your question, I don't think that they're looking, proactively going out there thinking, how can we get rid of people? What they're doing is thinking, how can we implement this technology? Now, after they've implemented it, they see, oh my God, the way that we had designed our organization before needs to be changed. As we make those changes, some of these positions need to be reshuffled. And now we might have extra people. And in that situation, people might be let go.
Which professional skills most easily will be replaced by AI, and which skills uniquely by human?
So the professional skills that are easily replaced by AI, first of all, if we look historically now, we can immediately see that coding and writing are the two professions that have been affected the most. And also anything translation related. What you'll notice the three of them all have in common is language, right? So coding is a type of language, translation is with language, and writing is with language. So these were the first ones to be impacted. Thereafter, as the intelligence of the AI starts to become more and more sophisticated, pretty much everything intelligence related will start to be affected. Oh, another one also I forgot to mention is that along with the rise of language models are also the rise of image generation models.
And video generation also, or it's similar.
And video generation, but we're not there yet, right? So at the moment, I'm only talking about backwards. So last month, OpenAI released their most up-to-date image generation model.
Yeah, I've seen it.
All right, and this model is so good at reproducing scenarios and maintaining consistency of character, so that if there's a company, for example, has a product, now they can have an entire photo shoot of that product. If they have a model with their product, they can now create an entire photo shoot of that model with the product. And of course, that model could also be generated by AI. So think about it. Historically, to create that photo shoot, you would have had to have art directors. You would have had to hire studio rooms. You would have had to hire photographers. You would have had to hire a whole lot of people.
And what these people will be doing
that's
in
another
the future?
that's another question, Kirill. And so those are the two, the language models and the image models. These are the ones so far are already being affected. Now, anybody who is involved in those fields that has not personally been affected, it means that they are working for people who don't understand AI, right? I was having dinner maybe 4 weeks ago.
Okay.
And we were talking about AI, as everybody does, and so on. And he said to me, it's okay, I'm in a safe place. I said, what do you mean? He said, listen, I work for one of the oldest banks. These guys are still stuck in the 1980s, right? They're never going to catch on to this, so I'm safe. And I thought two things. I thought, first of all, the way he said that is actually representative of what's on a lot of people's minds, which is in their small aspect of the industry.
But it's not right.
It's not right. Of course it's not right. Eventually a time will come where they start losing market share. Like over here, we're in the UAE. I can tell you that there are some banks here, I'm not going to name them because I don't want to get into trouble, right? But there are some banks here in the UAE that I have no doubt that their market share is decreasing. No doubt. Like the banks like YO and NEO that are doing all the kind of online app style banking, that these guys are going to be eating up the market share. Okay. Now I had that theory. For me, it's obvious. I know it's been obvious for me for the last few years. I had a bank with one of those banks which I don't like. And one day they just decided to multiply the monthly service fees to be over $1,500 a month.
Okay.
And not penalty, just a service fee.
I got it.
So I spoke to them. I went to their branch. I argued with them. I said, close my account. And I asked them, why did you do this? And they said, because we no longer have many accounts at this level, small business level. They're all leaving us. So we don't want to have them anymore. So we're putting these things. If you want to stay with us, pay us. And if you don't want, then leave. So why was I even talking about this example? Oh, yeah. So just leave, right? So the mindset of this guy I was speaking to is a mindset of, it's okay, we're an old school bank and we're going to be fine because we've been fine until now. But in reality, companies come and go. I mean, if you go to the UK, there are companies that we knew for 100 years. They disappeared. In companies like Toys R Us or Mothercare, they're still here in the UAE, but in England, they don't exist anymore. They were wiped out. So just because a company has been there for a long time doesn't mean that it's going to be there for a long time.
Yeah,
you know.
I found it's really challengeable, especially for old companies to adapt to a new era when new solutions coming.
Yeah, absolutely. Old companies. So there's a phrase that you can't teach an old dog new tricks, right? And the big problem that we have with old companies is that their internal systems and processes are so rigid and so established. And the people who have been operating them inside of the company have been operating them for so long that they're scared to veer away from them.
Small business owners, how can survive in the future because they not really understand AI like technology?
So when it comes to small businesses, what we're going to see is a rise in AI literacy. Just generally speaking, hopefully throughout the world, we are going to see a rise in AI literacy. And small business owners will be asking themselves the question, how do we do this through AI? In fact, let me answer this question again, right? So when it comes to small businesses, actually small businesses are in a better place than big companies to embrace AI, as with all technology, because they are more agile, right? The more what you need in the period of time ahead of us right now is agility. The most agile companies are the ones that are going to win. So if we think about, like, since the AI spring that we're in began in 22, many companies have already moved. Many companies have implemented all sorts of changes.
Yep.
We're all in the same boat, and many of them are very small companies, but they've seen that the world is changing and they are changing with it. And so in actual fact, they are in a better place than big companies. Big companies see it. So for example, I'm working with a client now. They started the inquiry for a service last April. There, and they'll know who they are because I'm talking about them. They are going to finally be signing off on May the 7th. 1 year and 1 month. The reality is what they're signing off on now has actually become outdated.
Yeah.
It's become outdated.
Okay.
Because of 1 year and 1 month. So I will do my best to try and, wake them up and so on whilst we're doing the program. But that's the reality, is that the big companies take a lot longer.
Yeah. Yeah. In this case, like, small companies more flexible and ready to adapt faster.
Absolutely.
Okay. So are there certain human capabilities that you believe will become more valuable when AI become more prevalent?
So the human abilities that are going to become more valuable, the more prevalent that AI becomes, definitely the first and foremost is critical thinking. Because people who don't actually think deeply, they don't think critically, they don't question, they don't look at options, these people will just accept whatever the AI gives them. And AI is not God, right? Okay, AI might do all of these things miraculously fast, right? But it's actually still got lots of imperfections. Like, I was having a conversation with an AI the other day, and I asked it a question, what was it? I asked it the question of, what do you think about B instead? And it gave me an answer. So I was looking at solution A, and I said to it, what do you think about solution B? And it gave me its explanation of solution B. In my mind, I wanted the answering of the question to be in comparison to solution A. So when it gave me the answer, I realized that in my question, I was missing a comma or I was missing a word. So I saw the output and I thought, you know what, this is not the output that I was looking for. I need to take a different approach to get what I wanted. So I went back up, saw critical thinking of my own input, and I said, okay, let me tweak that. And then I got a better output. So there was critical thinking about its output, critical thinking of my input, made the adjustments, and then got what I was actually looking for. People that don't have that will all get the same outputs and they will run with them and they will have no value. So let's say, for example, now you're looking for, let's keep it simple because this is what most of the audience understands. Let's just imagine you're looking for a copywriter. Okay. So you go onto a website, you do an advert, you say, I'm looking for a copywriter. And all the submissions you get all look like they were written by ChatGPT. Okay.
Yeah.
So what you will say is, well, why do I need you guys? I also have access to ChatGPT. What makes you different to me using ChatGPT?
And they take also extra fee for
and they take all the money. I'd rather use Chat. And why should I even wait for you to give me the article? I can get it done within 1 minute. I'll use ChatGPT directly, right? And the reason why you're looking for that copywriter in the first place is because you want to look at the copy that you get and look at it critically and say, no, I don't want not this, but that, in the landscape, mosaic, like all of those ChatGPT indicators, let's call them. You don't want that on your website. You don't want that on your blog. You don't want that in your podcast. That's why you're paying the human being. So the first ability that is going to be most valuable for human beings is that critical thinking, because the more and more dependency we have on AI and the more and more work the AI does, the more we need a human to interface with it to ensure that the final outcome is exactly what we're looking for and what we need. The second big ability that is going to be valuable for human beings is what we can call lifelong learning, continuous learning, the ability to learn anything. Because if now AI, let's go back to that critical thinking, and now what you need in your team is somebody that can write content, but with critical thinking on their mind. Okay.
Yep.
The same thing will apply to the editing of this podcast. There's a lot of tools now, a lot of AI-powered tools that will edit your podcast. But when you look at the final output, you'll go like, okay, that's not very good. You missed a whole load of sections there. You included that. I need a human being with critical thinking that also knows how to work with podcasting. Or when you come to do the shorts for today, you'll see that the AI is not going to do a very good job at choosing the actual shorts. It'll do an amazing job of the subtitles and this and that, but no, you need that person with critical thinking. So if you think about it, those people who are doing critical thinking, either they will become specialist editors, where all they do is edit AI-generated content, all they do is edit AI-generated podcasts, all they do is whatever that is, or they're able to work in lots of different fields. They're able to understand that, when you're working in such and such field, this is the most important things. When you're working in that field, that's the most important things. And then the other thing to consider is that the future is evolving. Like, we're entering into a new future now, a future that nobody expected, and universities are not training for. Universities are not training students for the future of tomorrow. And so you go to university now to learn how to learn. That's how I look at it. You go to university not to learn a subject. The subject is just the tool that you are using to learn how to learn.
And I also believe that if you go to the university, it's a good way to make networking and build new connections.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, that's the case for university. But in this case, in terms of the value for the human beings, going to university will teach you how to learn, so that when you get out of university and you face the new world, which nobody has planned for and nobody knows what to do, at least you will have the critical thinking to understand things, make sense of them, to question them. And you will also have the ability to learn the new way of doing things as well as the new tasks to be done.
Okay. Could you give a brief guideline? For example, if a person complete university, they have no experience, and they enter in the real world, what he should to do? Because in the few years, when AI will be more advanced and companies will be ready to work only with experienced people, what this kind of people have to do?
So
what's the recommendation?
Sure. Yeah. So people graduating from university are in a kind of bit of trouble. That's the honest truth. They are in a bit of trouble because before AI, there was a system called internships. And the system of internships basically meant that a company has lots of loose, boring, annoying work to be done, and they don't want to weigh their staff down with these tasks. Right? So what they'll do is they'll hire people who have just graduated from university. The fact that they got a degree has proven that they are able to manage themselves. So we're going to give you this task, manage yourself, get it done. And as they start to do that, they start to get experience of the company, the process, the topic, the subject, and they start to go up. Those tasks, those annoying tasks, are now increasingly more and more being done by AI. We were just about to create, in my company, we were just about to launch an intern program. Now with agentic AI, literally we had this conversation in my team 2 days ago that we have to revisit our intern program. It no longer makes sense because with agentic AI will do for us everything that this team of interns would have done. So now if we're going to be hiring interns, we got to change the way that we think about it. Okay, so this is the challenge that young people are facing when they're graduating. So now the question is, what do young people do now in the face of this challenge?
To be entrepreneurs.
To be honest, so what do young people do in order to, what do young people do to take on this challenge? What I advise. So what I'm advising is not necessarily what's going to apply to everybody.
Yeah, for sure.
But I have 5 kids. So this is the advice I give for my 5 kids.
When you have time.
So this is the advice I give for my 5 kids, right? Which is, right now, even whilst you are at university, there is nothing stopping you from working. There is nothing stopping you from taking something that you enjoy, some type of skill, and asking yourself within your local community, who are people that would value this skill? And then approach them and introduce yourself and just say, I'm a student, I'm studying at this university, I'd like to build up my experience, and I'd like to offer you this service. In the marketplace, this service normally costs this. I would like to charge you just this, right? So there's benefit. It's not like the student is just working painfully and getting nothing out of it. They'll get something out of it, but they will also start to get that experience. Now, when they finally graduate and now they start to apply for jobs, if they don't choose the path of entrepreneurship, which they've already tasted, if they start to apply for jobs, they'll have a portfolio of work that they've done. So when, there are going to be jobs, it's not that jobs are ending. It's just that the number of jobs will be less and the competition for them will be more. So there you are as somebody that says, okay, this is my portfolio of work. Like if I want to hire, again, I'll keep it simple. If I want to hire a writer and somebody can show me their portfolio of work and testimonials from their past clients, I don't care if they're 18 years old. I don't care if they're still at university. Let's hire them.
Yeah, that's true.
You know what I mean? Let's hire them. So that's my advice for the young ones that are graduating.
When people decide to learn how to use AI and be effective, how much technical understanding of AI is really necessary versus understanding strategic applications?
So the beautiful thing about general purpose AI, which is the AI that we're all dealing with right now, is that it operates based on natural language. In the old days, up until ChatGPT, so before ChatGPT there was GPT. Up until ChatGPT, you did need to be a technical person in order to benefit from AI. Okay, maybe there was some software that uses a lot of AI like Google Maps or Netflix, and you didn't know how it works, and you're still benefiting. But if you wanted to develop specific applications for your business or for yourself as an individual, you had to have technical AI skills. With the advent of general purpose AI, things like ChatGPT and Claude, with the advent of general purpose AI, now all you need is clarity of thinking. Clarity of thinking and excellent communication. You need to be able to encapsulate what's in your mind. You need to be able to communicate the scenario that you are facing. When you are able to identify all of this, then the next thing is just being able to communicate it to the AI.
Yeah, right.
So even now when we're looking at very sophisticated automations, the type that my consultancy is involved in, it's all very sophisticated. But actually when you look at all of the kind of micro nodes, each micro node is more or less programmed in plain English. So you would have, let's say, for example, an agent whose responsibility is to figure out what time of day it is. In the old days, we used to have to program that line by line. If time is greater than this, Now you can now wrap that up with a simple instruction, which is, in plain English, check the time. If it's after 12, do this. If it's less than 12, do that, right? So to answer your question, general purpose AI makes AI accessible to even people that are not technical. You just need to have clarity of thought and clarity of communication.
I think you for sure heard about Replit, like Cursor or Vercel. It's specific apps to coding and build some apps. And for example, if we go deep and touch not only like ChatGPT, this type of solutions, understanding of technical skills is not necessary when you work with some coding apps.
So when it comes to coding apps, those apps that basically say that, all you have to do is explain to it what you want and it will go and code the whole thing. Solutions like that, I think they're excellent in the hands of coders. I don't think they're that valuable in the hands of non-coders, because even once you've built out that app, it's not the end. Just when you've done that first version, it doesn't mean that you're over and done with. There's a whole lot of things that goes into having a website over and above the first draft of code. There's a whole load of things that goes into having an app on mobile phones rather than the first draft of code. Those tools are particularly valuable, as with all tools actually, they're particularly valuable in the hands of people who know what they're doing. Because now what it does is that it does their work for them much faster.
Yep.
Whereas people who don't know those things, okay, it's going to do a huge amount of work for them, but then they're going to find themselves in trouble. It's a bit like a student that uses one of these tools to write an essay for them. It writes the essay, they submit it, and then the teacher just asks them a question and they don't know how to answer. Right? So let's just imagine somebody now goes and uses one of these apps to build up an app, to put it on an app store, and they put it on the app store and they don't know about cross-device compatibility. And now some bug comes up and they've never faced a bug in their life. We know, as people that have software backgrounds, we know you have to now debug. And this is how you do it. They don't know that. They'll be in trouble. So tools like that, software coding tools, yep, they'll take away 90% of the burden, maybe even 99% of the burden. But in the hands of people who know what they're doing. In the hands of people who don't know what they're doing, they still need some type of expertise.
Okay, in other words, if I want to build some projects, it's not enough to go to and to use these tools. It's not like magic solutions.
No, I don't think so. I don't think there are any magic solutions. All of these, even if you see on Instagram and you see all of these adverts coming up where it's like, yeah, do this or yeah, do that. And we have an AI that will do all of this. All of them will get you 80% of the way there, 90% of the way there. And if you're not an expert that can get it up to 100%, your 90% will be below the expectations of your audience. So you will have a buggy software. You will have an AI avatar that looks monotonous, right? You will have all of these problems and you won't succeed.
Yeah, definitely. Do you believe in the nearest future these apps can be more advanced and for building tools?
So do I believe that in the near future, these type of AI-powered apps will be able to actually go all the way to 100%?
In perspective, 3-5 years.
I do, because you see, we're currently entering into an exponential growth, a period of not exponential, super exponential, right? Where we're now in a situation where AI is being used to improve AI. So what we're finding now is that all of these tools, let's say, at the start of today's conversation, I told you that just yesterday I learned about a tool that generates slides using AI. This is a ginormous leap above the previous tools that were available, right? So definitely all of these tools will get better and better and better. However, there's something you have to keep in mind, that once these tools become prevalent throughout society, the standards expected from us will also go up. So what looks amazing today, next year is just going to be standard. Earlier on, you asked me the question that what are the jobs and what are the roles that are going to be less affected by AI than others. And the one that stands out the most is the ones that deal with premium services. If you have a premium service with premium clients, those premium clients want to interact with human beings. Undoubtedly. Yes. They don't want to interact with chatbots. They don't want to interact with avatars. They don't want to interact with digital twins. They want to interact with human beings. And so if you have some type of role which is premium, dealing with premium clients, you are pretty much safe from that point of view. However, you better make sure that your processes underneath the surface are all AI powered, so that you can get the work done quickly and excellently, etc., and compete against others. Otherwise, they'll give up on you and go on to somebody else.
And for other people, what do you think? What the AI skills will be crucial in the future, and fundamental, like typing or using email?
Honestly speaking, I don't know. Nobody knows. Right now, we do know that prompting is tremendous. That is the absolute biggest skill, and it's useful in every aspect of interacting with AI right now. Interacting with agentic AI, interacting with AI automations, interacting with general purpose AI bots like chatbots. So that is absolutely the most important. But how AI is being shaped and reshaped over the years to come, even the people at the head of this, even the people at the top of the research pyramid themselves don't even know what's going to happen next. You know, just today I was watching a demo of how AI is creating an infinite fantasy world. So within inside, you can give it a picture and then it will turn it into a video, and it will turn into an endless exploration of that world where every frame is being generated in real time. So that photo can turn into a 10-hour exploration of another world. How is that going to change our world when everybody starts living in that world? And what are the AIs we're going to need in that world? And nobody knows.
Yeah,
nobody knows.
We don't know because it's changing so dynamically.
Exactly. But what I would say to you, you know, although everybody has said it 1,000 times that prompting is the number one skill, yes, it's absolutely the number one skill. And I would dare to say that most people are unskilled when it comes to interacting with general purpose AI. They are completely unskilled. Okay. And so rather than thinking about what are the skills of the future, let's try and get everybody up to date with this one skill.
What are the top essential AI tools would you recommend for professionals to learn?
What we're getting through, what I advise for most people is ChatGPT. All right? I don't use ChatGPT, not because it is inferior, not because children are using it, not because teenagers are using it. No. ChatGPT is a layer for one of the world's most sophisticated AI platforms out there, right? The OpenAI models, AI models, are some of the most sophisticated multi-billion-dollar AI models out there. And ChatGPT wraps it in a very kind of user-friendly, consumer-friendly way. So if I had to recommend one tool and one tool only, it would be a general purpose AI chatbot like ChatGPT. If you prefer to use Gemini like I do, go ahead. If you prefer to use Claude, go ahead. But learn to work with it, learn to master it, because it will be able to take on 90% of your cognitive burden, going back to the start of our conversation of the cognitive copilot. Thereafter, now look at your individuals in your individual role that you are playing and ask yourself, what are the different tools that can help you in that specific role? So let's say, for example, you're a trader. So as a trader, now there will become AI-powered tools that will help you trade. Or if you're a marketer, there will be an AI-powered tool that will help you with your marketing. If you're a videographer, there will be AI-powered tools that help you make your videos. You see what I mean? So 90% is the general purpose AI, and the remaining 10% will be the narrow AI specific to your field.
Okay, and can you mention what tools do you use in your professional life and daily life, except of Gemini or ChatGPT?
Okay, so the tools that I use in my personal life, I don't actually like to talk about publicly because I like to keep them secret. I have the very good fortune of having my own development team.
Okay.
So we are able to develop our own internal workflows. So whenever we do something that we deem to be important, we deem to be valuable, it's a repeatable process, it's some way of delivering value to our clients, we can go ahead and build that out as a workflow. I'll tell you one thing that I do that would be valuable for everybody, okay? Which is, and I'll use ChatGPT language so that it's accessible to everybody. Within ChatGPT, you have the idea called GPTs, right? GPT is when you take ChatGPT and you program a narrow version of it. So you can make a version
You customize it.
You customize it, right? So you program this, you customize a narrow version of it that is specialized in one area. So it could be, let's say, for example, inside of a marketing team, you could have one GPT that specializes in writing Twitter threads, and another GPT that specializes in writing Instagram captions, and another GPT that specializes in LinkedIn posts, and another GPT that specializes in writing in scripts, okay? You have another GPT that specializes in ideation, another GPT that connects to something that will build out thumbnails, okay? Then what you can do as an individual user that is using ChatGPT is call them by name. So give each one of your GPTs a name. So you could call one Claire, you could call one Ingram, the Instagram caption specialist. Laura, the LinkedIn post specialist. Tito, the Twitter thread specialist. And then in your conversation, all you'll do is invoke them and just say, hey, Tito, what do you think? How should we do this? Okay, Ingram, can you do this? Okay, LinkedIn. So now what you're actually doing, still within ChatGPT, is building out a small army of workers that can help you in different aspects of your life.
10 people, a team is done.
Exactly, you're a team of 10 people.
So did you hear something about Manus AI, and what do you think about same type of solutions?
I think Manus AI is excellent. I think Manus AI, GenSpark, like all of these tools, I think they're amazing. However, I think that people who have not learned how to prompt with basic reactive AI systems will struggle to get the most value out of agentic AI systems. Like if you didn't know how to work with the junior, like if you couldn't fight a junior in the boxing ring, how are you going to fight the senior, the pro, right? So Manus or GenSpark or any of these agentic systems, they will do lots of things for you, but you're basically allowing it to become the pilot.
Yep.
And this is, when we started today's conversation, we talked about allowing the AI to be your cognitive co-pilot. I came up with this term co-pilot before Microsoft launched their co-pilot software. Okay. And I was talking about this as early as January 2023, more than 2 years ago. And ever since then, I've told people that if you don't learn how to pilot AI, AI will become the pilot. When AI becomes the pilot, you won't be the co-pilot.
Yeah.
You will be the passenger, right? So if you go into Manus and you say, yeah, I want to do X, Y, Z, and then Manus does a whole load of steps and does a whole load of things and comes back with an end result, you have no idea how it came up with that end result. And you have no idea about the skills. Was it right? Was it wrong? Is that the right? And then you submit it to a client, submit it to your job, submit it to your boss, submit it to your teacher. I mean, you're not doing anything anymore. The AI is doing it, and you don't even know if it's good or bad. And if it's bad, you don't know how to make it better. You know what I mean?
Yep.
So I think these tools are excellent, but only in the hands of people that know what they're doing.
In general, what do you think about Chinese technology, AI technology?
So my thoughts on Chinese...
Because it looks like a big competition between US, and we used to use like US solutions and technology, but now it's really competition rise.
So my thoughts on Chinese AI technology is the same thoughts I have about Chinese cars. Okay, I see these Chinese cars on the street every day, and I keep on asking myself, why am I going to spend 5 times more on a German or why am I going to spend 5 times more when that car jumps and it turns on the spot and it goes 0 to 60 in 3? Like, why am I going to keep on spending where I've always been spending, where the Chinese are really showing up? And I'm not American. I'm not sitting here, freaked out that the Chinese are stealing my secrets and all that kind of stuff, right? For me, I just look at them both. So at the start of the conversation, I told you I use all different models. And there are times where I will use DeepSeek. There are times where I will use Manus. There are times where I will use GenSpark AI. There are different scenarios I will use different ones. The fact that they're Chinese makes no difference to me. And in fact, if they can do things even cheaper, I'm happy to embrace it as well.
Yeah.
But don't forget, we run a consultancy and our clients don't necessarily feel the same. So for your audience that could have mixed people, fine. But now when you enter into the corporate world, there's a lot of governance that takes place that does not allow you to use those types of tools. And so if you have an employee, if a listener who is an employee, please don't feel that it's okay to just go and use DeepSeek or even ChatGPT for that matter. It doesn't matter that it's American or Chinese, is that your company will have rules and principles and guidelines of where you can submit company information and where you can't. And that's something that needs to be accounted for.
Okay. Last question. What's the top 3 recommendation you can give for people who want to start their AI journey?
Okay, so my top 3 tips.
Yeah, we cover a lot of things and you give a lot of basic advices, but can you give a brief summary?
Okay, so the first advice I would give to anybody that wants to start getting serious about raising their AI game is, first of all, to go and do some research to find out how AI is already affecting their profession, right? That's the very first thing. Go on a deep dive using a platform like Perplexity or DeepSeek or whatever platform you like. Go and do some deep research around the topic of AI plus your profession. So AI plus architecture, AI plus videography, AI plus marketing. Go and see what is happening out there in the world. At the moment, there's a whole wave of YouTubers that are posting videos all day, every day. It's like 2025 is the year that they discovered AI, and now everybody is posting so many videos. So you don't even need to take a course. You don't need to pay for a course. You can just find experts in YouTube that are talking about AI and your field. That will open up your mind. The next thing after that is to set up a search alert on Google Search or any other search platform, that whenever there's anything new, any new updates about AI and your field, for you to get updated on it, right? So there you are, you've had your deep dive in all the YouTube videos. You've subscribed to those YouTubers. You've also now signed up to an alert to find out when anything is new. Now after that, you have to make time. You got to make time to watch those videos, to read that news. And if you can take some type of course as well online, there's lots of things in Udemy and Coursera. Like, you just need to make time. I don't care if you're 30 or 40 or 50 years old that you think, you wish that, let me just live life. Why do I have to go back to school? No, you have to go back to school. The world has changed now.
Yep.
And if you don't learn the way of the new world, you will be stuck in the old world. And that means as we move into the new world, you'll be left behind.
Okay, it's cool. It was really a knowledgeable conversation.
My pleasure.
I believe people find a lot of insights. Thanks for coming.
Thank you so much, Kirill. Thank you.